Good evening, lurkers. What do you think about United States urban legends, Halloween disasters, and a few fun games?
Sounds like we forgot about aliens. So let's lurk.
Let's talk about some things that are real, unlike aliens. Like, every single state, whether you know it or not, has an urban legend that, you know, is absolutely true. It's proven.
Before we get into this list
Yeah.
of 50 states, because we're going to go through this episode, we're going to go through all 50.
Every single one.
Growing up, did you think that these urban legends were real? Like, did you believe in Bigfoot?
I wanted to believe. I wanted to say, like, one day I'm going to get to go up, climb up the mountain and see Bigfoot for real. Or I'm going to be able to say that BM word into the mirror 3 times and something's going to happen. Like, I was also raised Catholic. I don't want to say it. Beetlemoose. You never
Bowel
got
movement?
challenged.
Oh.
You never got challenged to go into the bathroom when you were younger? Turn off all the lights and look in the mirror and say,
I have... Okay.
You have no idea what I'm talking about?
I know the reference. But I don't remember the name. It wasn't impactful. And I think I did it when I was, like, in my 30s alone. And I was like, this is stupid.
No, you did it in your 30s as you were trying to get over a hangover the next day at the bar because everybody, when they're a child, suddenly learns how to order Bloody Marys.
Yes. But no, we didn't do that.
Well, what did you do? How did you scare each other at sleepovers? Or
The older kids chased us with rocks and bats.
nothing legend about that. Okay, so maybe we don't go over all 50 unless you absolutely want to. But I just want you to pick 5 states. Give me 5. Give me one state right now. We'll do number 1. Pick a state.
I haven't
any
looked
state.
at this list.
You want to start here? You want to start
I
at
want
home?
to start down south.
Oh.
The people that make it feel real. Trust me, I have one to end on. But let's start with Louisiana.
Maybe if you're from there, you've heard of this, but I have never heard of the Carter brothers. You see, back in the early 1930s, a young woman escaped from the home of the Carter brothers in New Orleans with slash marks on her wrist. She told the police that the brothers were feeding off her blood. The cops stormed the French Quarter residence where they found more young women in similar states, their blood draining from their bodies. The brothers, now thought to be vampires, were captured and executed, only for it to be discovered years later that their crypts were empty.
I feel like there's more scary real stories. Like, do you remember that woman that was like maimed in like Nevada and her arms were chopped off and she walked like 20 miles and was found in a bloody mess and naked, missing arms, and she lived?
I think I skipped that one. I don't remember.
Got it.
But really,
Missed that
like,
chapter.
the Carter brothers may have been vampires according to this legend, but let's be real. Everyone knows it's the Illuminati. You know, this is just where it all started.
In Louisiana. Can we go? I want to go out east, a place where I think a lot of legends must be born. And let's go north to the cold reaches of Maine.
The Seguin Island Lighthouse. Like many urban legends, the one in Maine has to do with isolation. As legend has it, in the 1800s, the caretaker of the Seguin Island Lighthouse and his wife were the only 2 people living on the tiny spit of land. They naturally grew increasingly bored and isolated. The caretaker bought a piano so his wife could play it to keep both of them entertained, but she knew only one song. The insufferable repetition of the same tune, combined with the severe isolation, drove the husband mad, and he took an axe, chopped the piano and his wife into bits. And then he killed himself. Or so the story goes.
What the fuck?
This is all from Reader's Digest. Like, what kind of
What?
weird...
Let's move out west. Staying in the north, I want to know about the legends of Oregon. Oregon?
Willie, out west in Oregon, there's the legend of the Bandage Man. You see, the ghost of a man who was supposedly chopped into bits, not unlike the Seguin Lighthouse. He was chopped into bits at a sawmill, and he terrifies Oregon residents to this day. They call him the Bandage Man because, well, his entire body is wrapped up in bloody bandages. Mostly, he is said to attack people who drive through or park their cars at a certain Cannon Beach.
That would be the best prank to pull.
Oh, yeah.
Just like at the beach, like the whole month of October, you're just sitting there in your car. You see somebody pull up, you put the thermostat lid back on, you're like, it's my time.
Finally, somebody showed up. Or you could be like the jerk boyfriend in those teen movies, where you take the girl to go make out at Cannon Beach, and she's maybe new or younger. She doesn't know about the urban legend, and you have your friends show up and freak everybody out, and then you all laugh about it, but it turns out Bandage Man is real.
The only hunky dude I want to be from a teen movie is Chris Evans in not another teen movie because of the banana scene.
Not because he got to be friends with the foreign exchange student?
Was she a foreign exchange student?
Yeah, the one that walked around naked all the time.
Oh, that's forgot there were a lot of boobs in that movie. Now,
I didn't.
Before we get to what I think is going to be the scariest, Scott, let's go home. Minnesota.
Country road, take me home to the place of the Wendigo.
Oh, what?
See, the Wendigo is a creature of Native American folklore that is thought to be the result of cannibalism. A person will turn into a Wendigo, a fang-bearing creature that is tall, skeletal, and hairy, if they resort to eating another human being. Will you fall prey to the glowing eyes and the snake-like tongue of the Wendigo? Or is it just an urban legend?
Scott is afraid of everything, but Scott, I want you to go to Google and search the Wendigo and click on images.
I know what it looks like. I've watched Supernatural. I've watched the first season. It was scary.
No, you're not getting out of this. Do it, Scott. Do it.
I don't want this on my search history. Oh, it looks like a deer.
It looks like a deer. Like somebody's out in the woods tripping balls, seeing a deer who's scared to death of a human being and going, oh my God, this thing is going to murder me. I probably ate humans. There have been many moments where one of our cabins growing up, family had a cabin out like 30 minutes away from Canada, and having to go outside to pee because we didn't have running water in the middle of the night, no lights, all you can hear is the rustle of wind in the branches. I swear to you, even now as an adult, I thought something was going to come up and bite my penis off.
It's unnerving to go out into the woods because it's dark. Everything else that's in the woods has adapted. And we're just used to being inside and comfy and cozy and cuddly and nice and warm. And then we have to go outside. And I feel like every time in that situation, I would go out to pee. And I just couldn't stop thinking about the predator with his night vision or his heat vision. The off-world pervert that he is, just watching me take a whiz.
No wonder why the name's Predator. Jesus, staring at some little kid's wiener.
And then we have Chris Hansen saying hey.
That's a Versus movie I want to see.
Why don't you have a seat?
Why don't you have a seat? So, okay, let me tell you a story before we talk about West Virginia.
Oh, no.
Growing up, we would go deer hunting. Now, if you know anything about deer hunting,
I do.
you know that there's cold mornings in early November where you get up at around 3 or 4 in the morning and you walk out to your deer stand, middle of the night, pitch black, and you get into this wooden box and you sit there in silence.
It's
The
crisp.
whole day.
Fresh.
But when you've held a weapon before, I don't want to idolize weapons here, but Scott, you've held a gun
Many.
and you feel powerful, right?
You can take out a lot of things with a gun.
Walking through the woods alone at 3 in the morning, a gun has never felt more insignificant than that moment. I'm like, what the fuck is this thing going to do? Anything could get me. Anything. Whatever I shoot is just going to go right through it. It's going to keep coming out here. It's going to kill me.
Where did you go hunting? Exactly.
Same place I talked about the Wendigo biting my wing-wong.
Up north and on the border?
Yeah.
Well, unless you had bear shot, yeah, you were a goner. You were
Yeah.
living on the edge.
That's all I thought. Like, my deer hunting rifle was no match against a full-grown bear.
And now you've become one. Look at that. You've become what you are afraid of.
Gentlemen. What?
West Virginia? Mountain Mamas? No.
Take me home.
The Mothman. Yes, this is the same Mothman from the movie The Mothman Prophecies. The final scene of that movie is a retelling of a take of an event that actually happened in 1967.
No.
You see, the Silver Bridge that connects Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and Gallipolis, Ohio, collapsed at the height of rush hour, killing 46 people. And according to the legend, it was the Mothman, the great bringer of death, who caused the accident.
Okay, I have some gripe with this. Number one, West Virginia, you're in the Appalachians.
Mm-hmm.
A place which is renowned to strike fear in the heart of any person who goes out in the woods and you hear a scream or you hear a child's voice, you run, you move.
You do not look back.
Mothman? I'm sorry, but those woods are death.
It's crazy to think that, like, we may have evolved from, like, cave-dwelling people, and everything that we were afraid of was either bigger than us or more adapted to situations like the woods or just at night. That's when things hunted, and we had to kind of, like, build fire and build protection and design our lives to avoid that, whilst also becoming the alpha predators of pretty much the entire planet. And yet, just about any human being who hasn't prepared for anything, you could go drop them in these situations, and they might go into a catatonic state because there's something in the back of our mind that still says, run. I am not safe. There could be no animals around for miles, but your brain just knows, like, this was never a safe situation. At any point in time in human history, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
We talk about these scary stories, and I think that it's all surrounding Halloween, which, if you couldn't tell, we're dressed as ketchup and mustard. I mean, I look like a misformed banana, and Scott looks like a used tampon. Halloween, yeah, I think growing up, did your parents check your candy to make sure that nobody got into it?
Every single year on the news, there was something like, make sure there's no razor blades in your Twizzlers.
Make sure they don't lace it with drugs and opioids. Here's the deal. That stuff's expensive. People are not giving that away for free.
I feel like today, things are more likely to be laced than they were 30 years ago.
There's a lot of just myth and legend surrounding Halloween, but I want to tell you a story, or maybe a few stories, of actual things that have happened on Halloween throughout the decades.
Are these sad things? Are these things that are gonna make me cry and feel bad about myself? And
I mean, maybe. Let's start with number 1. In October 31, that's Halloween, Willy, you idiot. They're all going to be the 31st of October. Starting it off strong. In 1922 on Halloween, the Italian dictator Mussolini was elected to power. It's the rise of fascism.
oh man, yeah, that's not a good one. History. Ooh. Do you think
It's good that one's number 1.
Do you think he picked that on purpose?
Do you think he thought he was right?
I mean, he was the right side, like right, conservative.
In that sense, yeah.
Fascism, yeah.
Speaking of accidents, in 1990 on Halloween, William Anthony Odom was 15 years old when he accidentally hung himself when staging a gallows scene in the basement of his haunted house.
Oh. Why do you even mess around with that, bro? Like, come on.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit earlier. In 1977, 1-year-old Nema Lewis Carter went missing from her cradle. Since all the windows and doors in her room were locked shut, it is believed her abductor was hiding out in the closet. The child was found a month later, unalive, in a refrigerator in an abandoned house nearby. What makes the case even freakier is that the previous year, 3-year-old twin girls went missing in the same town. They were lured out of their house and then trapped into a fridge. They were found 2 days later, but only one had survived. The surviving child, Tina Carpenter, identified their babysitting Jacqueline Robidoux as the kidnapper, but the accusation never led to a conviction. A year later, Robidoux was Nema Lewis Carter's babysitter. She was a suspect again, but there was no evidence.
They went back to the same babysitter?
Oh, it's 2 different families, but yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was going to be like, what? Yeah. Nope. That's not going to say anything.
I graduated in 2005, which is probably horrifying for people on the streets because I was in a car. But back in 2005, locals in a small town in Delaware thought that their neighbor had reached new heights with their Halloween decorations.
Uh-oh.
Hanging from a tree in their garden was what everyone thought was a really in-depth decoration before they realized it was the person that lived there.
Fuck.
Let me end with this one. 2014.
Can it be a good disaster? Are there any of those?
Another bad year for Halloween decorations, Scott.
Beautiful disaster. Oh, no.
As when a man dragged a headless body out of his apartment and then kicked the head to the other side of the street. People thought it was a Halloween prank. The truth only came to light later when a person tried to move the body out from the middle of the street and realized it was real.
I don't want to go outside anymore. I'm just gonna stay inside.
I need you to hug your wife tonight. I need you to look her in the eyes, and I need you to realize that statistically, she is the one that's gonna murder you,
and vice versa.
You're gonna what?
That was a lot of bad news.
There's 9 of them. So lurkers, go into the comments. You can find the little thing. Go find it.
I wanna push the show over to some good news. Small smidge, tiny bit of bad news for Team Scott, but very good news, big good news for Willy. He's going streaking.
Wait a minute. You said Team Scott. I don't have a team?
Well, no,
bad news for Team Scott. Good news for Willy. He doesn't have a team, little
you
bitch.
Kicked everybody off of your team 3 weeks ago. When I believe you said,
I hate every fucking one of you. And I meant every word.
So, Willy won again. So, congratulations, my friend. And
I did. And guess what, Scott?
What? In the butt.
You're afraid of everything. And this week is going to be no freaking different because we're doing the scariest movie monsters of all time.
Willy sent me this horrifying website.
Losers say...
With my first pick, I'm going to go with the Alien Queen.
With my first pick, I'm going to go with the Predator.
With my second pick, I'm going to go with Godzilla.
Pick number 2, I'm not going to pronounce this right, the Nazgul.
Ooh, all right. Pick number 3, one of the most terrifying monsters in my childhood, the T-1000.
Hey, fun fact, the actor for that practiced running with his mouth shut.
I know.
So that he could make it scarier.
Yep. And not blinking. He never blinked the entire
Insane.
movie.
Insane. Speaking of insane, pick number 3, Pennywise.
Ooh, solid choice. Pick number 4. I probably should have chosen this for my last one because it's weird, but the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Somehow, Scott, that's what I look like as a child, so I feel like you just put me on your team.
As a child?
Hey. For my number 4 pick, the Sandworm from Dune.
Solid. Very solid. And because it is a terrifying monster, let's just say, kids everywhere will be afraid of, I'm going to go with, for my number 5 pick, James P. Sullivan from Monsters, Inc.
Somehow, Scott, you have what an amazing cast. But to end mine, I am going to go with Sloth from the Goonies.
Nice. Okay. So, if you are tuning in right now, who did you pick? Did you pick the right team? Because you're finding out today which team you sided with. And I hope you chose mine. Maybe you chose Willy's. But either way, if you chose one of us, you made a smart decision.
We have one more smart thing to do, Scott. Because it's time for another exciting round of Scott Smart or Outsmart. Are you ready, Scott?
Let's go!
Fantastic. Here's how the game works, lovely lurkers. I've got 5 tricky trivia questions for Scott. For every question that he gets right, he is one step closer to the real answer. Because here's the twist. All of the answers have a connection. Scott, if you win, I
have to grow out your mustache for the month of November.
I'm already married. But if I win, November 1, you have to shave off your beard.
Like the whole thing? Keep the mustache or just everything?
All of it.
Ugh. My wife is not gonna like that. All right, let's do this.
And with that, question number 1. The official state song of Florida, commonly called Swanee River, is actually named for what fondly remembered people at home?
Stay-at-home moms?
Incorrect. That's the hardest one of the day.
Okay.
Question number 2. In Roman myth, what powerful god received epithets like Calasis, heavenly, and Tonans, thunderer?
Roman gods?
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter.
Correct. In the first line of Big Yellow Taxi by Joni Mitchell, she laments the fact that they paved paradise and put up a what?
Parking lot.
Correct. Number 4, Chickenfoot and Mexican Train are table games played with what pieces?
Dominoes.
Correct. I don't know why you know that. Question number 5. Africa's iconic panthers are actually recessive black-furred variety of what great cat?
Jaguars.
Incorrect.
Okay. All right. So I have Jupiter.
Scott, with 3 correct.
Okay.
Jupiter, parking lot, and dominoes. What is the connection?
All right. My guess for Jupiter, parking lot, and dominoes, they are all terrible places to lose your virginity.
Somehow he got it right, everybody. Now, let me give you some answers, Scott, and if you can get this with all 5, I will not make you shave, but I will participate in No Shave November. Question number 1, the official state song of Florida, commonly called Swanee River, is actually named for what fondly remembered people? Old folks. So you got old people, Jupiter, parking lots, dominoes, and that iconic panther is actually just a variation of leopards.
Old folks, leopards, dominoes, parking lots, and Jupiter?
What's the most iconic thing about Jupiter?
It's the biggest planet.
Thing about Jupiter.
The storm. The eye. The red eye?
What's it called?
The great
You're
big
never
eye?
you're never going to get it.
I don't know. Tell me.
Well, Scott, these are all things with spots.
No. Parking lots have spots. No.
Old folks,
they went
a lot
there
of spots.
with old folks.
Jupiter,
too.
the big red spot. Parking lots have spots. Dominoes have spots, and leopards have a lot of spots. Scott, I am excited to see you.
Buck naked?
Yes. Again.
Don't call it a comeback. Save that for the OnlyFans. All right, that's our show, lovely lurkers. Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you like the show, please tell a friend and rate and review wherever you lurk.
We appreciate your love so much. So remember, be kind to one another, and we'll see you this weekend.